needs to be done because the story needs to be told over and over and over again.
I wanted to kind of make it official that we unveil the monument on February 20th of 2010. That will be our goal. And
that will be the finished one or just the groundbreaking? Complete.
That'll be the complete, the whole thing.
Yesterday, December 7th, 1941, a date which will live in infamy. The United States of America was suddenly and deliberately attacked by naval and air forces of the Empire of Japan.
The attack on Pearl Harbor in December of 1941 not only led the U.S. into war, but created a sense of hysteria on the mainland that would rip apart the lives of tens of thousands of Japanese Americans forever. Their concern was immediate.
When I heard about it, I was working out in the field, I said, oh no, what's going to happen to us, Even though we were born here, even my dad was born here.
I can still remember during that period, they were so scared, they said, let's burn all the Japanese magazines. They burned the Hinowaru flag. They had a couple of swords that my grandfather had brought as a decoration purpose, And my dad hid it someplace, and we never did find it.
My father, at the time, was a sharecropper in Watsonville, and we lived less than 3 miles from the coast. And there was a road that crossed in front of our house, and his strawberry crop was across the road. And the authorities decided that that road separated the demilitarized zone with the militarized zone. So my father stood at the edge of the road, looked across the road, and they said he would have been shot if he crossed the road to go to his strawberry field.
I was scared, Japanese, Japan. And then as time went on, I remember that day, and I remember as time went on and the rumblings that we would have to leave, I said, no, the government won't do this.
Reacting to the pressures of war, FDR signed an emergency declaration that would eventually relocate from the West Coast virtually every resident of Japanese ancestry, whether they were immigrants or American citizens. Sherman Kishi summarizes the impact of Executive Order 9066.
The West Coast commander could do whatever he felt was necessary to take care of any problem on the West Coast as far as the Japanese people were concerned. And so that was when the evacuation was issued by the West Coast commander.
When Pearl Harbor came, our home still was not finished, but the contractor kept building, and we finished our home in April of 42. And then we lived in it for 2 weeks. Then we got our notice that we had to report to Assembly Center.
My story is that I remember taking all the food out of my refrigerator and putting it out for our dog. This is very short-sighted and wonder now what happened to our pet dog. But I remember cleaning the house, and we had finally gotten rid of everything. We did have a bunkhouse where the boys lived, so we put a lot of stuff in there and locked it up, And then the furniture was all taken to our Presbyterian church.
By the time that war started, we owned, I think it was 160 acres, all paid for. And so we were in fairly good financial situation.
So we really didn't hear very much about exactly what they're going to do to us. We knew that something was happening, but we didn't know exactly what they were going to do. And we didn't really know exactly until April of 1942. And the executive order was done in February of 1942, so there's March went by, February went by, March went by, and in April they finally put up posters saying that we had to report to an assembly center.
Construction had begun on a number of relocation or internment camps throughout the West, including 2 as far east as Arkansas. Temporary shelters, known as assembly centers, were hastily constructed to house internees. Government propaganda showed the general public moving vans pulling up to help those of Japanese ancestry move. But in truth, when they were ordered out of their homes, all they could take was what they could carry. Former internee Hiroshi Asai recalls.
Basically, it's not what you carry for yourself, you carried for the whole family. So if you had 1 or 2 adults and 3, 4 kids that can't carry anything, if they were still grammar school or younger, and you only had 2, 3 adults in the family, you had a burden.
Well, you only could carry 1 suitcase per person, and so you were limited, to what you could bring, really. We left whatever we left it inside the house, we had a cellar.
So I had 3 of them, and the guard says, "You're only supposed to carry 1, and these are my kid sisters." Oh, okay, and then he let it pass, but he wanted to confiscate the 2 extra bags I had, suitcase.
And we knew that we had to go. We knew that it was that dangerous. And gradually we knew too that the JACL had said, some of the leaders had said, be loyal, be obedient, show the country what a good citizen you are, so go, don't fight it. Don't try to fight the incarceration, as some of the people did. And I think they were courageous to speak up on their own and to take the risk of prison, and they eventually were sent to prison.
The Merced Assembly Center, built on the Merced County Fairgrounds, housed as many as 4,669 detainees for several months during the summer of 1942. Most reports indicate that the barracks were constructed in as little as 11 days. Augustine Alonso remembers the furious pace.
Yeah, well, we used to live on 127th 11th Street, just across from the camp. And I remember when they were building the camp, they had lights all night. So it was like daytime. To me, it was like daytime, 24 hours a day. And anybody that could hammer a nail got a job.
One of the teachers at school, in one of the classes I was in, I don't remember which one, said that they needed help out there, and anybody interested in working out there, why, raise your hand. So I'm only 17 years old. I'm, ready to do anything. So I raised my hand, and so they signed me up.
But the barracks that they built quickly, and tar paper on the outside, and in one barrack there's 5 families, and there was no ceiling. They didn't build any ceilings in the barrack, and so you could hear the families way down on the one end of the barrack, and you could hear babies crying, and my mother used to holler out, be quiet, the neighbors, you're gonna bother them,
I think they were 20 feet wide, and